The field was wide and full of sound. Children ran. Their laughter filled the air. Small alien boys and girls chased each other, their feet kicking up soft clouds of dust, their voices rising high, but one girl stood apart. Her skin pale silver under the light, her eyes glowing faintly blue. She watched them from the edge of the field, her hands clutched together as if holding something invisible. She wanted to join, but her legs did not move. Every laugh she heard cut into her heart. Every smile they shared reminded her of the emptiness inside. She was alone, different, and they all knew it. Sometimes one of the other alien kids would glance her way, their lips curling into a quiet smirk. Sometimes they whispered words she could not hear, but she felt the weight of their rejection. The girl lowered her head, her silver hair falling to hide her face. She did not want them to see the sadness in her eyes. She had trained herself to look strong, but today her chest was heavy across the field. A man in plain clothes stood near a broken fence. He was human, tall and tired from work, his hands rough from labor. He was not part of their games. He was only passing by, yet his eyes fell on the girl. He noticed the way she stood apart, the way her feet never moved toward the others. He saw her stillness in the middle of all that joy, and something inside him tightened. The girl's lips trembled. She bit down to hide it, but a single tear rolled down her cheek. Catching the sunlight before it fell, she quickly wiped it away, hoping no one saw the human did. His brow furrowed. He had seen many things in his life. Hunger, pain, and loss, but this loneliness in a child's eyes cut deeper than any wound. The laughter from the field grew louder. The other children started a new game. They locked arms in a circle, spinning around as the dust rose beneath their feet. Voices shouted, bodies fell with joy, but the girl only pressed her hands tighter, her body frozen, her eyes shining with the wish to belong. The human leaned forward against the fence. Something pulled him closer. He did not know why, but he could not look away. He remembered being a boy himself, standing at the edge of a playground, no one asking him to join. The sting of being unwanted, the echo of silence that followed him home. Now he saw it again, not in his memory, but right in front of him in this alien child. A group of older kids noticed her. They pointed, their whispers louder now. They laughed among themselves. The girl's shoulders shook, but she stayed still. The human's jaw tightened. He wanted to step forward, but he hesitated. What would they think? A human interfering in their world. Would they mock him too? Would they chase him away? But then the girl looked up. For the first time their eyes met across the distance. Hers were wet with unshed tears. His were steady and warm. In that moment the human knew he could not stand still. He took a slow step away from the fence, his boots pressing into the dirt, his figure moving toward her. The girl's breath caught. Her mind raced. Why was he coming closer? No one ever came close, no one ever noticed. The sound of laughter faded behind her. The world narrowed to the man's steady steps. Each one closer, each one louder in her ears. Her heart beat fast, fear mixed with hope. What if he was like the others? What if he only wanted to laugh at her too? But something about his eyes told her different. They were not sharp with mockery. They were not cold with distance. They held something she had never seen before. Kindness. The dust swirled around his boots as he reached her. His shadow stretched across her small frame. The other children paused. Some turned to watch. The girl did not move. Her voice caught in her throat. Her fingers gripped the hem of her dress. The human stopped just a step away, his voice low but steady. "You look like you want to play," he said. Her eyes widened. No one had ever asked her. No one had ever spoken so gently. The silence between them hung heavy. The world seemed to wait. And for the first time in a long while, the girl felt something stir inside her chest. Not fear, not pain, but a spark of hope. The field grew louder with laughter, yet the alien girl could not hear it the same way anymore. Her ears still caught the sound, but her heart was fixed on the human who stood near her. He had spoken just one simple line, but it felt like the sky had cracked open. No one had ever asked her if she wanted to play. No one had ever noticed her silence. Her lips parted as if to answer, but no words came. Her throat was tight, her body frozen. The other children saw the human near her now. Their whispers rose, some giggled, some frowned, and a few pointed with mocking smiles. Why is he talking to her? One boy muttered, his voice carrying across the field. She doesn't belong with us, another laughed. The girl's chest tightened. The old shame returned. She lowered her head quickly, hiding her face again, her silver hair falling like a curtain. She whispered inside her mind, don't cry, not here." But her body betrayed her. A tear slid down her cheek. Hot and sharp, she turned slightly away, hoping the human would not see, but he did. The human had seen many tears in his life, but this one was different. It was not the cry of pain, not hunger, not anger. It was the silent tear of someone who had been left out too long. He bent slightly, lowering his voice so only she could hear. "You don't have to hide," he said softly. "Tears don't make you weak." Her eyes flickered up at him. Surprised, his words were strange. No one had ever said such a thing. More laughter erupted from the children. One of the older boys stepped forward, his voice loud. "Hey, human! Why bother with her? She's not like us, she's broken." The alien girl flinched, her small hands clenching into fists. Her tears burned hotter. She hated those words. She hated how they always called her broken. The human's eyes narrowed. His jaw set firm. He stood straight again, his shadow falling larger across the ground. "She's not broken," he said. His voice steady but strong. "She's just like anyone else. Maybe stronger than all of you." The children froze. Whispers turned into silence. No one expected a human to defend her. No one expected him to challenge their words. The girl blinked fast, her tears falling quicker now. Not from shame this time, but from something new, something heavy and warm in her chest. The human turned back to her, his expression softer again. "They don't decide who you are," he said. "You do." The girl shook her head slightly, her voice breaking as she whispered. "They never let me. They always push me away." Her words were small, almost swallowed by the air, but the human heard every syllable. He crouched lower now, his eyes level with hers. "Then let me ask you," he said. "Do you want to join? Do you want to play?" Her lips trembled, her breath quick. She had dreamed of it many times, but saying it out loud felt impossible. What if they laughed again? What if this human changed his mind? Still, her head gave the smallest nod, a single shy movement. The human smiled faintly, not a wide grin, but a gentle curve of lips that carried warmth. "Then let's play," he said. The words struck her heart like lightning. Her tears slowed, replaced by a strange flutter she had never felt, a hope she had buried for so long. Behind them, the children whispered again, louder this time. "Is he serious? He's going to play with her?" That human is strange. The human ignored them, his eyes never leaving hers, waiting for her to lift her head, waiting for her to believe that his words were true. Finally, with a shaky breath, the girl raised her eyes, her face still wet with tears. Her small hands slowly loosened, her fingers no longer clenched in pain. For the first time in her memory, someone had not turned away when she cried. Someone had not mocked her weakness. Instead, he had stood beside her. The silent tears that once fell in shame now felt different. They were the last drops of a storm breaking, making way for something new. The human extended his hand, open and patient. Not forcing, just waiting. The girl stared at it, her mind racing. Could she take it? Could she trust? What if this was only a trick? What if tomorrow he laughed like the rest? Her breath caught. The sound of the other children faded again. The world narrowed to that single hand, rough, human, steady. Her small fingers trembled, then lifted slowly, inch by inch. She had lived her life in silence, her tears unseen, her laughter stolen before it could ever bloom, but now, here, she felt the smallest chance that everything could change. She reached out, her hand still shaking, still unsure but moving closer, and as her fingers hovered just above his palm, the air around them seemed to hold still, as if the universe itself was waiting for her choice. The girl's hand hovered above his, trembling like a leaf in the wind. The world seemed to wait for her choice. The children on the field whispered louder, but their voices were distant, muffled, as if they belonged to another world. The human stayed still, his hand steady and open. He did not rush her. He did not push, he simply waited, his eyes soft with patience. Finally, with a tiny breath, the girl let her fingers drop into his palm, her skin cool against his rough hand. It was the first time she had touched someone who did not pull away. The human closed his hand gently around hers. Not tight, just enough to say he was there. Real and not leaving. The children gasped, some laughed, some frowned in disbelief, but the human did not look at them. He looked only at her. "You don't have to stand alone anymore," he said softly. Her lips trembled. She wanted to speak, but the words caught in her throat. It had been so long since she tried. Her voice felt locked away, rusted with silence. The human leaned down slightly, his voice calm. "It's all right. Take your time." The girl's chest rose and fell quickly, her breath uneven, her small mouth opened again, and at last a sound escaped, fragile and cracked. "Why?" Her own voice startled her. She had not spoken to anyone in weeks. Not since the last time she had been mocked, but now. The word slipped out before she could stop it. The human tilted his head gently. "Why what?" he asked, his tone free of judgment. The girl's eyes filled with tears again, but softer this time. Not from pain, but from the weight of her question. "Why, are you kind to me?" The words broke in the middle, but they were clear enough. The question hung in the air like fragile glass, ready to shatter. The human's chest tightened. He looked at her small figure, her thin arms, her shaking voice, and he thought of all the times he had asked himself the same question as a boy, why no one had been kind to him. He lowered his gaze, his voice steady, because no one should feel invisible. Her breath hitched. Her fingers tightened around his hand. His words reached deep into her heart, a place she thought no one could see. The other children shuffled nervously now, their laughter softer, their whispers uncertain. The sight before them was strange. A human holding hands with the girl they had left out. One of the braver boys shouted, "She doesn't need you, human, leave her." The girl flinched. Fear shot through her chest. She expected the human to let go, to listen to them, to turn away like everyone always did. But he didn't move. He didn't let go. Instead, he looked at her and spoke again. His words low but strong. "You asked why I'm kind? Maybe it's because I see myself in you." Her glowing eyes widened. She didn't understand you, she whispered. He nodded slowly. "When I was your age, I stood alone too. Everyone else laughed and played, and I was left out. I know how it feels." The girl's lips parted. Her mind racing. No one had ever told her such a thing. No one had ever admitted they knew her pain. She searched his face, looking for lies, but she found none. Only truth in the warmth of his eyes. A single sound slipped from her throat, broken but real. "Me too." The human smiled faintly. The first true words she had spoken to him. The first bridge built between them. He gave her hand a small squeeze. "Then we don't have to be alone anymore," he said. Her tears spilled, but this time they came with something new. A tiny spark of courage. Behind them the children watched in silence, confused, unsure what to do. Their usual laughter gone, replaced by something heavier. The girl took a shaky step closer to the human, her voice trembling but clear. "Will you stay?" Her question was small, but it carried the weight of her whole world. The human looked at her and nodded. "As long as you want me to." The girl's chest rose with a deep breath. For the first time in her life, she believed someone, truly believed them, and then slowly. A sound came from her lips, quiet at first but growing. The smallest laugh, soft and broken but real. The human's heart lifted at the sound. Her first laugh in so long, it was worth more than gold. The other children whispered again, some nervous, some ashamed. But the girl didn't hear them anymore. She had spoken, she had laughed, and someone had listened. Her silent world was breaking apart piece by piece, and something brighter was taking its place. The human stood beside her, steady as a wall, and for the first time, she no longer felt like a shadow. She felt seen, she felt heard. And in that moment, the first words she spoke did not just break her silence. They began to change everything. The sky above the field was soft with fading light. The laughter of the other children grew weaker as they drifted back to their games. But the human and the alien girl still stood at the edge, holding on to a fragile connection that had just begun. The girl's small laugh still echoed in her chest. It felt strange, almost foreign, yet warm. She had not laughed in so long that she had forgotten how it felt. Now it spread inside her like the first touch of sunlight after a long storm. The human watched her carefully, his lips curving into a gentle smile. He could see the change in her eyes. They were no longer filled only with tears. There was a spark, small but real. Her hands still shook as she held onto his. Her body tensed as if at any moment the world would take this away. She looked at him as though waiting for the truth to vanish. He did not want her to feel that way. He wanted her to believe that kindness was not a trick, not something temporary, so he reached into his pocket. The girl tilted her head, her glowing eyes watching closely. The human pulled out a small worn object, a wooden carving no bigger than his palm. It was rough but shaped carefully like a bird, its wings spread wide as if ready to fly. He had carved it long ago during lonely nights, something to keep his hands busy when his heart felt heavy. He never thought it would matter to anyone else. Until now he knelt down slowly, holding it out toward her. "This is for you," he said softly. Her eyes widened, her lips parted in shock. No one had ever offered her anything before. Not a toy, not food, not even a smile. She stared at the little bird as if it was made of starlight. She shook her head quickly, stepping back a little. No, I can't. It's yours. The human's voice stayed gentle. It was mine, yes. But it belongs with someone who needs it more. The girl's breath caught. Her fingers hovered above the carving. She was afraid to touch it, afraid it might vanish if she dared to hold it. The human waited, his hand steady, his eyes warm. Finally, with trembling fingers, she reached out and lifted the wooden bird from his palm. It was light but solid, real. She ran her small hands over the wings, feeling the grooves he had carved with care. It's beautiful, she whispered, her voice soft but filled with awe. The human's chest warmed at her words. He had never thought of it as beautiful. It was only a piece of wood he had shaped in silence. But now in her hands it looked alive. The other children watched from a distance, their whispers sharper now. Why did he give her something? She doesn't deserve it. He's making her think she's special. Their words cut through the air. But the girl did not hear them as she once had. Her attention was on the bird, on the gift she had never dreamed of. She clutched it to her chest, her glowing eyes filling with tears again. But these tears were different. They carried warmth, not shame. Why give this to me? She asked, her voice trembling. The human looked at her carefully. Because you matter, he said simply. Her body froze, her breath caught in her throat. She had never heard those words before. Never once in her life her knees weakened. And for a moment she thought she might fall, but she held tighter to the wooden bird, her lifeline, her proof that someone had seen her. The field had grown quieter. Even the whispers of the children faded as they watched. Confusion in their eyes, disbelief on their faces. The human straightened slowly. His eyes firm now, he looked across the field, his voice calm but clear. She is not invisible. The children flinched at his words. None dared to speak back. The girl stared at him, her heart racing, her tears falling freely now and then slowly. Her lips curved into something she thought impossible, a real smile. It was small, trembling, but it was there. The first true smile she had given in years. The human saw it and felt his chest tighten. He knew then that this simple act, this small gift, had done something powerful. It had broken the walls around her, if only a little. He bent down once more, speaking low so only she could hear. Whenever you feel alone, hold this bird and remember. You are not forgotten, she nodded slowly, clutching the carving tight against her chest, her smile shining through the tears. The air around them seemed to change. The field no longer felt as cold or heavy. It was as if one small act of kindness had lit a spark that could not be ignored. And though the girl still stood on the edge of the field, she no longer felt like a shadow. Because someone had stepped into the shadows with her and brought light. The gift was small, but to her it was everything, and in that moment, she knew. Her life would never be the same again. The wooden bird was small in her hands, yet it felt heavier than the whole world. The alien girl held it against her chest, her glowing eyes fixed on the human who had given it to her. For the first time in her short life, she felt like someone had chosen her. Not to laugh at, not to push away, but to protect. The field around them had changed. The children who once shouted and mocked now stood in uneasy silence. Their games forgotten, their laughter faded. The human looked at the girl's trembling hands, the way she clutched the bird as if it was her only treasure, and he understood. This moment mattered more to her than any of them could know. Do you like it? He asked, gently. The girl nodded quickly, her silver hair brushing against her cheeks. Her voice came out soft, almost broken. It's mine? He smiled faintly. Yes, it's yours. The words hit her like a shock. She had never owned anything, not even a toy. She had only scraps, hand-me-downs or nothing at all. Now this small bird was hers, truly hers. The other children shifted nervously. Some of them glanced away, ashamed. Others frowned in anger. Jealousy in their eyes, one of them muttered. She doesn't deserve it. She's not one of us. The human heard it, his jaw tightened, but before he could speak, the girl surprised him. She took a small step forward, still clutching the bird, and whispered, I want to play. Her words were shaky, her voice uncertain, but they carried a strength she had never dared to show before. The human looked at her with pride, his hand still steady at her side. Then we will, he said. She blinked at him, unsure. We? Yes, he nodded. We'll play together. The children gasped softly, their whispers returning, but none dared to laugh this time. The human's presence was strong, his quiet courage louder than their mockery. The girl looked at the field, her chest rising and falling quickly, her heart racing with fear and hope. She had dreamed of this moment so many times, standing among them, laughing, being part of the circle. But every time she tried before, she was shoved away now with the human beside her. She felt something different. She felt safe. He bent down slightly, meeting her eyes. "Will you trust me?" he asked. Her lips parted, her breath caught. But then slowly she nodded. He held out his hand again. She placed her small fingers in his. The wooden bird pressed tightly against her chest with the other hand. Together they walked toward the center of the field. The circle of children shifted, their eyes wide, some stepping back as the human approached, others holding their ground, unsure what to do. The girl's heart pounded so hard she thought it might burst. Every step felt heavier. But the warmth of his hand guided her forward, steady, unshaken. At last they reached the middle. The human looked around at the other children, his voice calm but clear. "There's space for everyone. She belongs here too." The children exchanged uneasy glances. Some frowned, others looked down at their feet. No one dared to speak against him. The girl lowered her head, afraid of their stares. But then she felt the human's hand squeeze hers gently, reminding her she was not alone. He bent close, whispering so only she could hear. "Don't look at them, look at me. You're not invisible anymore." Her eyes lifted, meeting his steady gaze. And for the first time, she believed him. The games resumed slowly, hesitant at first. The circle opened, and the human guided her inside. The girl's breath shook. But when one of the younger children dropped a small ball at her feet, the human smiled. "Go on," he said, her eyes widened. Her hands gripped the bird tightly, but then carefully she bent down and picked up the ball. The other children watched closely, waiting, testing, some of them expecting her to fail. The girl threw the ball back, her aim clumsy but true. It landed in another child's arms. The small boy blinked, then let out a laugh, not cruel this time, but surprised, almost accepting. The circle tightened. Voices rose again. Laughter returned, but it was different now. She was part of it, even if only a little. The girl's lips trembled, her chest heavy, and then slowly, a smile spread across her face. Brighter than the fading sun, the human watched, his chest tight with pride. He had done nothing more than hold her hand, but to her it had changed the world. She laughed again, a sound that rang pure and clear, and this time it was not alone. It blended with the laughter of the others. The bond had formed, fragile yet unbreakable, between the human and the alien girl. And though the future was uncertain, one thing was clear. She would never forget the one who gave her a reason to smile. And deep down, the human knew this was only the beginning. The field no longer echoed with cruel laughter. Instead, it rang with a new sound. The alien girl's fragile laughter mixing with the others. For the first time, she was not outside the circle. For the first time, she belonged. But not everyone smiled at the far side of the field. Two older boys crossed their arms, their faces twisted with anger, their whispers sharp like knives. "This is wrong," one hissed. "She shouldn't be here," the other muttered. "She'll ruin everything," their voices carried. And soon the whispers spread, children leaning close to each other, some uncertain, some jealous, some afraid. The alien girl felt their stares again. Heavy on her back, her laughter faltered. Her smile wavered. She clutched the wooden bird against her chest for comfort, her fear crawling back like a shadow. The human noticed. He stepped forward, his hand resting gently on her shoulder. Steady and warm, his voice calm. "Don't look at them, look at me. You're doing just fine." Her glowing eyes lifted to his, trembling but hopeful. His steady presence gave her strength again. The older boys didn't stop. One of them shouted louder, "She doesn't belong here. She's broken." The word struck the girl's chest like a stone. She froze, her breath caught. Her small hand shook. Tears threatened to fall again. The human's jaw tightened. He turned to face the crowd of children, his eyes sharp but his voice even. "She's not broken," he said firmly, his words cutting through the air. "She's brave. Braver than any of you who laugh at her." The children fell silent. The field seemed to hold its breath. No one had ever spoken against the older boys before. No one had dared. The boys stepped forward, taller, stronger, their faces red with anger. "You're just a human. What do you know?" One spat. "She's weak, everyone knows it," the other added. The human did not flinch. He stood tall, his voice clear. "Strength isn't about how loud you shout or how hard you push others away. Strength is standing when the world tells you to fall." The girl's chest trembled. His words struck her deeper than the insults ever could. For the first time, someone had given her a different meaning of strength, one she could hold on to. The older boys sneered. But the younger children hesitated, their eyes shifting, some looking down, some glancing at the alien girl with uncertainty. One small boy whispered, almost too quiet to hear, She laughed with us." Another girl nodded slowly. "And she threw the ball back." The whispers spread again, but this time they were different. Not cruel, not sharp, but soft, uncertain, questioning. The alien girl heard them, her heart pounded, her tears still shining in her eyes. But now she saw something new in the faces around her. Hesitation, doubt, even curiosity. The human leaned closer, his voice low for her alone. "Do you see? They're listening now. You made them stop and think." Her eyes widened. She shook her head. "Me?" "Yes," he said firmly. Her lips trembled, her chest heavy. She never thought she could change anything, but here, in this moment, the air around her was different because she had dared to stand, because she had dared to laugh. The older boys scowled, their power slipping as the whispers turned against them. They opened their mouths to shout again, but before they could, an older alien elder appeared at the edge of the field. His presence silenced everyone instantly, his robes dragging across the dust, his glowing eyes sharp as he scanned the scene. The alien girl froze, terror flooding her chest. The elders always ignored her, sometimes worse. They reminded her of her place. The elder's gaze fell on the human first, then on the girl beside him, holding the wooden bird, her cheeks wet with tears, her lips trembling but curved in the smallest smile. "What is happening here?" the elder demanded, his voice deep. The children looked at each other nervously. No one spoke until one of the older boys shouted, "She doesn't belong here! She should stay away." The elder raised a brow, his eyes flicking to the human who stood tall, unflinching. "And you?" the elder asked, his voice heavy with authority. "Why do you interfere, human?" The field grew colder, the children stepped back, all waiting to see what the human would say. He looked at the elder calmly, his voice steady. "I interfered because she was alone," he said. "Because kindness is not interference. It is what should have been done a long time ago." The alien girl gasped softly, her chest tight with fear and hope tangled together. The elder's expression unreadable. The children frozen in silence, and as the sun dipped lower, the tension grew. The world seemed to wait, hanging on the edge of what the elder would decide. The field was silent, the elder's voice still echoing in the air. All eyes turned to him, waiting. The alien girl clutched the wooden bird tightly against her chest, her body trembling. She feared the elder would send her away like always, that he would listen to the louder voices, not hers, that this moment of hope would shatter into dust. The human stood firm beside her, his hand resting gently on her shoulder, his voice calm but steady. "She belongs here, elder," he said. All she wanted was to smile, to laugh, to play, like every other child. The elder's glowing eyes studied the girl, her cheeks streaked with tears, her thin frame shaking, yet her lips still curved in a faint smile, fragile but unbroken. The older boy stepped forward quickly, eager to turn the tide. "She is weak," one shouted. "She is broken," the other echoed. "She will only slow us down." The girl flinched. The words cut like knives, but this time she did not step back. She held the wooden bird tighter, her glowing eyes lifting to the human's face, and she remembered his words. "Strength is standing when the world tells you to fall." The elder's gaze shifted back to the human, his voice slow. "Why do you care, human?" "She is not of your kind." The human's eyes did not waver, his voice deep with truth. "Because kindness has no kind," he said. "And because I see her strength even if no one else does." The elder's expression softened, just slightly. The words hung heavy in the air. The younger children whispered, their voices different now. "She laughed with us. She threw the ball." She smiled. One small boy stepped forward, his voice timid. "She's not broken. She's like us," the alien girl gasped softly, her heart racing, her glowing eyes wide for the first time. A child had spoken for her, not against her. The elder's face shifted, his stern expression melting into thought. Finally he nodded slowly. "Perhaps," he said. "The human is right." The field shook with gasps. The older boys stepped back, their power crumbling in an instant. The elder's eyes settled on the girl again, his voice heavy but warmer now. "You have been silent too long, child, but today you stood. You laughed and you smiled. That is strength." The girl's chest rose sharply. Her lips trembled. Tears filled her eyes again, but they were not the same as before. They were brighter, lighter. The human bent closer, whispering softly, "See? Even they see it now." She nodded, her smile growing wider, the kind of smile that carried both pain and hope. the kind of smile that could change hearts. The elder turned to the other children, his voice commanding, "Let this be known. No one stands alone in our fields if one child is left behind. All of you fail." The children lowered their heads, some ashamed, some thoughtful. None dared to mock again. The older boys scowled, but their voices were silent now, their power gone. The girl's tears spilled freely, her smile shining through, and in that moment she felt lighter than ever before, as if the wooden bird in her hands had truly given her wings. The human stood tall beside her, his presence strong, his eyes warm with pride. He had not done much, just a word, a hand, a gift, but to her it was everything. The other children began to gather again. Their steps hesitant, one small girl approached, her voice soft. "And do you want to play again?" The alien girl's heart leapt. She looked at the human, her glowing eyes asking silently if it was real. If it was safe, he nodded, his voice low. "Go on. You're ready." She stepped forward, the wooden bird still clutched in one hand, her other hand reaching out to the children who once ignored her. And when the ball rolled toward her once more, she caught it, her laugh rising into the air, clear and strong. The field filled with laughter again, but this time she was part of it, truly part of it. The human watched from the side, his heart swelling. He had come here only to pass by, but now he had changed a life and perhaps more than one. The elder stood beside him, his voice low. "You have given her something rare, human." "You have given her hope." The human nodded quietly, his eyes on the girl's smile. "Sometimes hope is all it takes," he said, and in that field, under the fading light, the alien girl's smile spread wider, brighter, stronger. It was not just a smile, it was a message, a spark, a light that touched everyone who saw it. It was the smile that changed everything.